Hello everyone, welcome to day 23 with walkthrough, and today we're looking at a passage called the dingo debate. So I know the dingo is kind of an animal, so grazers see them as pests and poisoning is common, but some biologists think Australia's dingoes are the best weapon in a war against imported cats and foxes. So we've got two groups of people who think differently about the dingoes. So it's biologists think they are good to kill off cats and foxes that are probably not good. There are grazers who see them as pests, and they even go far, to kill them. All right. So this dingo debate, there's debate going on, and then I have three types of questions which contain the following information: matching features and sentence completion. Obviously, these two not in order, but the names are in order, and these are in order. From test point of view, these are the things that you need to know. Just a second. I guess no. All right. Yes. Now, a description is really important, guys. So it has to describe using words, of a barrier designed to stop dingoes, also divides, which also divides two kinds of non-native animals. All right. How is keyword. Dingoes ensure that rival species do not dominate. And a reference, when they say reference, it's just one sentence, usually to a widespread non-native species that other animals feed on. All right. And mention similar reference of the dingo's arrival in Australia. Research which has proved dingoes have resorted to eating young livestock. Resort to is like when you resort to doing something, that's your last option. A description of a method used to kill dingoes. The way that the structure of a dingo groups affects how quickly their numbers grow. All right. And then we have three people. The dingoes tend to hunt native animals rather than other non-native animals. The presence of dingoes puts the income of some people at risk. Dingoes have had little impact on the dying out of animal species in Australia. Stuart McKinney. Interesting, we have four people but three statements. The dingo replaced something as the main predator animal in Australia, and no more than two words. Foxes and cats are more likely to hunt native animals where there are fewer something. Australian animals reproduce at a slow rate as a natural way of avoiding something. I'm gonna look at questions 11 to 13, guys, when they talk about predator animal. All right, but I'm gonna stay focused on these two questions. Let's go. So a plane flies a slow pattern over Carlton Hill Station, a 3,600 square kilometer ranch in the region in the northwest Australia. As the plane circles, as it circles, those on the plane, drop 1,000 small pieces of meat one by one onto the scramble below, each piece laced with poison. On those pieces of meat there is poison. This practice known as baiting. Guys, this is definitely, they're describing a method that's used to kill dingoes. So that there's description going on. Plane flies in the 3 square kilometer, and what happens to etc. So this is definitely question number 6. I mean, you will see the same will be true for descriptive language when there is like adjectives, noun, there are very specific words to describe something. So all right, yeah. So this is going to be for question number 6 is going to be A. All right. Um, Besides 5,000 head of cattle, Carlton is still home to the dingo. All right. In addition to being home for cattle, it is also home for dingo. Australia's largest mammalian predator, and bane. Bane is the opposite of boon, I guess. Right. Grazers, like something bad. Stuart McKinney, okay, our first guy, manager of Carlton Hill, complains that grazers' livelihoods are threatened. Their livelihoods are threatened, guys. So if you remember, they're talking about income, right? That's livelihood. Are threatened when dingoes prey on cattle. When they prey on cattle, uh, they are threatening, they are putting their income at risk. And when they're preying on cattle, their presence. But one man wants the baiting to end, and for dingoes, once again roam Australia's. According to Chris Johnson, our second guy, Chris Johnson thinks dingoes should be allowed to roam. Australia needs more dingoes to protect our biodiversity. But for question number 9 is going to be Stuart McKinney. So that's our first guy, because here it says he complaining that grazers' livelihoods are threatened. That's like 9. Livelihood is synonym for income, and threatened at risk. When they are preying on cattle. So I think that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna continue again. Well, the idea, guys, whenever one of the names comes up, you're gonna have to read that around that statement and that name, and then just look at keep an eye on the questions all the time. That's a keyword thing. About 4,000 years ago, Asian sailors. About 4,000 years ago, Asian sailors introduced dingoes to Australia. All right, so if you remember, there was a reference to that. That's question number 4. About 4,000 years ago, Asian sailors introduced dingoes. So that's question number 4. That was by Asian sailors. The arrival was done, and their arrival was made possible by Asian sailors. Throughout the ensuing, following 1,000 years, these descendants of the wolf spread across the continent, and as the Tasmanian tiger disappeared completely from Australia, dingoes became Australia's top predators. Okay, so there was a top predator descendant from main predator animal. So in the past, it was Tasmanian tiger. Because it's completely, disappeared, dingoes became, so that the dingo replaced. That's question number 11, and that's the dingo replaced Tasmanian tiger and the main predatory animal. Okay, as the agriculture development took place, agriculture developed, European settlers found they could not safely keep their livestock where dingoes roamed. Obviously, livestock could not be kept because there are dingoes. So it began one of the most sustained efforts at pest control in history. Over the last 450 years, dingoes have been shot, poisoned, and fences have been used in an attempt to keep them away from livestock. But at the same time, European settlers tried to eliminate one native pest from Australia. They introduced more of their own. But what happened is they were trying to eliminate one native pest from Australia. They introduced more of their own. Okay, they introduced more pests. In 1860, the rabbit was unleashed on Australia by wealthy. Now, one predator was like, I guess not predator, pests was rabbit, and that was and rabbits had covered most of the mainland. Rabbits provide huge prey base for the other two introduced species, feral wildcat and red fox. Do I have anything about that? I remember reading about that. So a reference to widespread non-native species that other animals feed on. Like I guess that's like there is widespread like that rabbit is non-native species. It was introduced by a wealthy landowner, and it covering most of their mainland. That means it's widespread non-native. And if it's prey, other animals feed on, and that's cat and feral fox. That's question number 3, and question number 3 is going to be C. All right, the interaction between foxes, cats, and rabbits is a huge problem for native animals. Okay, they interact with each other, and that's a huge problem. In good years, rabbit numbers increase dramatically. Okay, and fox and cat populations grow. Obviously, if rabbit numbers grow, fox and cat populations also grow because they eat rabbits. When bad seasons follow, rabbit numbers significantly reduced. Their rabbit numbers significantly reduced, and the dwindling but still large fox and cat populations are left with little to eat besides native animals. Because rabbit numbers are small, they end up eating other native animals. So okay, so that's foxes and cats are more likely to hunt native animals. When do they hunt native animals? They do so when the numbers of rabbits are significantly reduced. That's synonym for fewer. So you just need to write rabbit numbers. I know it kind of does not really probably ring well, like rabbit numbers, because you cannot take this word like rabbits here and then like, because it would make perfect sense if that was the case, right? When there are fewer rabbits, but it now is not. You cannot change the part of the statement where the answer is coming from and then change it to make sure it's fitting. No, that's not possible. So, do I have any of the other guys? No, there's not. Australian animals reproduce at a slow rate as a natural way of avoiding. Okay, avoiding what? We need to find that. How quickly? Structure, they do not talk about structure. Research, how dingoes. Okay, Australian mammals generally reproduce and much more slowly. Okay, Australian mammals generally reproduce, breed slowly than rabbits, cats, and foxes, and that's because an adaptation to prevent overpopulation in the arid environment where food can be scarce and unreliable. Okay, Australia reproduces at a slow rate as a natural way of that's adaptation descendant as a natural to avoid is avoiding what overpopulation. 13 is going to be overpopulation. Overpopulation is not good because when the food is not good, when the food is scarce and unreliable, that's why they have to prevent overpopulation. And population decline because they cannot grow fast enough to replace animals killed by predators. Johnson says dingoes are the solution to this problem. So again, our guy in the paragraph B, if I may, is Chris Johnson. He is again saying dingoes as the solution. How? They keep cat and fox populations under control. Besides regularly eating smaller predators, dingo will kill them simply to lessen competition. Though that's guys, that's our seven, I guess seven like because no, that's not the way the structure. It's not we're not talking about the way it's structured, right? A description barrier, no. How dingoes ensure that rival species do not dominate? Yes, because they don't dominate. To lessen competition is synonym for they do not dominate. Rival species are like cat and fox populations, and they do so. Lessen the competition by eating them. Eating the fox and cats. So that's going to be question number 2. All right, then question number 2 is going to be D. Dingo packs live in large, stable territories and generally have one fertile. Okay, that's now they're talking about structure. So there's only one fertile means that there's only one animal that breeds, reproduces, and limits their rate of increase. And that limits their rate of increase means that affects how quickly their numbers grow. That's going to be another D. All right, so that's where the way their structure is like they live in packs and there's only one fertile. All right. In the 4,000 years that dingoes have been in Australia, they have contributed to few, if any, extinctions, Johnson says. And that's, guys, dingoes have had little impact. That's like few, or if any, that's little dying out, extinction. So that's like contributed to, it's like impact, everything is synonym for question number 10. It's going to be Chris Johnson. So Chris Johnson is saying, like, dingoes haven't had really any bad effect. So, all right. Oh, there are too many paragraphs. Reaching out from desolate spot where 3 states meet right, for 25 kilometers in either direction is the world's longest fence. There is a fence 2 meters high and stretching from that's 2 meters high, stretching from the coast in Queensland and to there is a long, like just what fence. And it's there, the fence is there to keep dingoes out southeast. So there are dingoes here, and the fence separates main types of livestock found. To northwest of the fence, cattle predominate. Here, there's cattle, right? And there is also to the southwest there is sheep. Australia's land dominated by these animals: 25 million cattle and 100 million sheep, just over 20 million people. So description of a barrier designed to stop dingoes, which also divides two kinds. So it's actually there to keep the dingo out, right? Dingoes out of Southeast. That's designed to stop dingoes, but it's also separating other two types of livestock. It's not, you cannot single out one sentence and say that. It's actually like fills out like a heading for question number one. It's going to be E. All right. So I don't have any of the names, yet. While there is no argument that dingoes will prey on sheep if given the choice, they don't hunt cattle once the calves are much past 2 or 3 weeks old, according to McKinney. McKinney is saying because sheep are smaller, they eat sheep, but once cattle is like 2 or 3 weeks old, they cannot, hunt them. A study in Queensland suggests that dingoes don't even prey heavily on the newborn calves unless their staple prey disappears due to deteriorating conditions like drought. Like study, that's like kind of, that's like what the question 5 is referring to. The 5 is saying dingoes eat young livestock only as a last resort. And here it's saying the study has shown that dingoes actually don't eat newborn calves, but if their main prey disappearing because of bad conditions, and they might even eat newborn calves as well. So that's last option. When their main prey is not there, they eat, but sadly they eat. So that's F. I guess I've chosen all the There's only one question remaining. Dingoes tend to hunt native animals rather than hunting none other non-native predators. This study, co-authored by Lee Allen, in Queensland, suggests that aggressive baiting programs used against dingoes may actually be counterproductive for grazers. When dingoes are removed from an area by baiting in the area is recolonized by younger, more solitary dingoes. These animals aren't capable of going after the large prey like kangaroos, so they turn to culls. In their study, some of the highest rates of cull predation occurred in areas that had been baited. Mark Clifford, Lee Allen said nothing. Mark Clifford, a general manager of the firm, suggests that is not convinced by Allen's assertion. Clifford says, it's obvious if we drop or loosen control on dingoes, if we drop control on dingoes, we are going to lose more cows. That he's just saying, if we don't control them, they eat more cows. He does not believe that dingoes will go after kangaroos when cows are around. Nor is he persuaded dingoes